Hey there, Sagittarius Ascendant. How are you doing? So this is the forecast taking you for the next 2 weeks from the full moon in Aquarius on the 9th of August, right the way through to the new moon in Virgo on the 23rd of August. Now, if you're new to this channel, this is an ascendant forecast for the next 2 weeks, and I'm using a whole sign Western tropical model. So if you're used to looking at your chart in a whole sign perspective, this is going to just really suit you. Now, if you're a Placidus person like I am, I look at my chart in Placidus, you'll have most likely two signs in your first house. And so if you've got Sagittarius rising, you might also find you've got some Capricorn in your first house too. If that's the case, I recommend you also listen to Capricorn too. You'll get some extra meaning from listening to both of these. So I hope that's helpful. If you are new, my name's Louisa Tanner-Munson, so welcome. I try and read these charts in the way that I would read for a client. You know, so if this seems a little too familiar or intimate, it's because that's how I feel when I'm doing these readings. I feel like I'm intimately sort of connected to your chart. So that's a little bit about me. Now, normally I give the full astrological scoop. You know, normally I talk about the waning moon phase and look at every single aspect that's going on. I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to go in some depth, but all of that extra stuff I'm putting into a separate video. And the link for that full astrology scoop is below. So just check out the link below, and you'll be able to go there if that's what interests you. But what I'm more fascinated with this week is the three distinct phases that we're going through. And so I really see that we have things revealed to us. We're going into a process of refinement and then rebirth. Hence why, you know, this is titled, You Were Born for This Rebirth. This is a really important time. I really feel that the revelations of the full moon, they're going to bring out some mess in us and probably reveal to us some of the masks that we've been wearing, you know, some of the pretense that's been going on all this time. And then, you know, once we've gone through that sort of revelation, that big reveal, the next part of this is the pressure to purify over the next 2 weeks. It really feels like it's time to really notice those patterns and work out how we can free ourselves up from them. And then we're coming up to the time of the new moon in Virgo. Now, this is a rebirth, but it's not the only one. Let me just share with you that we've got this new moon in Virgo at 0 degrees Virgo, and then the next new moon is also in Virgo. It's at 29 degrees in the sign of Virgo. So you're getting two goes at this energy. It's very, very strong. The energy of Virgo is absolutely about purity, sanctity, peace, organization, redoing everything. It could be very natural, very herbal, very health related. But to me, there's this very big rebirth. And for you, you know, for the Sagittarius energy, this is hitting in the 10th house. The 10th house is all about the big reveal of you. This is about you standing in the world, your legacy, how you're seen and experienced at a really deep level. So this really speaks of your career, your influence, and how far you're going to go. I mean, this new moon, or these two new moons falling in your 10th house, you know, a month apart from each other, is a real sort of strong indicator to me that this is a time when your career is about to come off in a big way. And there's so much more to add to that. But there are three questions I'm going to be posing throughout this particular forecast. So the first one is, where has my mask been for survival, and what would I prefer to express? What truth about myself or my life has become impossible to ignore, and what would shift it? And then finally, what small sacred act of cleansing and reordering could help me restore faith in myself? I love these questions. I'm definitely asking myself these as well as I go through this. I really got this idea that this 2 weeks is about honoring the mess, but not giving up on the sacred. So let's have a look. In fact, just before I do that, I want to say a big thank you to everyone that supports this channel, whether historically, right now, regularly, or also in membership. Thank you so much, because you really do make a difference to my life. In particular, you know, the people in membership with me, I'm getting a lot of feedback. There's a lot of interaction. You know, there's this, there is a sense of a real community evolving. It's deeply supportive, deeply nourishing, and yeah, I'm very, very grateful for it. So thank you. Anyway, these are the two charts that we're looking at. So we've got the full moon in Aquarius chart. And you can see that the full moon is highlighting the third house, and the sun is in the ninth house. This is interesting, the third and the ninth polarity. We've also got another opposition between the third and the ninth house. That's Mercury retrograde and also Pluto retrograde. I've got a little extra. I've got a preview at the end of this video. If you stick around to the end, you can click on the next video and it will take you to a preview of Mercury going direct. So I've done a 3 to 4 minute video, really short, just expressing what you've gone through with this retrograde and what it means when you get moving again, and how to kind of cast off that Pluto and Mercury retrograde opposition. So it's worth checking that out. It will be released on the 11th anyway, so you're not going to miss out, but you do get a preview if you want it. But anyway, this third and the ninth house, they're really working on what is known and accepted and loved and understood, like early learning, all of your old friends. This is really about where you belong as well, versus the unknowing, the foreign, the expanded, and this place where maybe you don't belong, but you could explore. So this is really, the sort of community around your home area. And this is far, far away. This is in a completely different place. And this is showing a higher learning. So this is facts, and this is all the context around the facts. So you might learn your ABCs, but here you're learning about how to string sentences together. It's a higher harmonic, you could say. It just feels like knowledge and belonging has been sort of shifted somewhat here. And so this isn't the worst opposition to have, in terms of the full moon. It's not as disturbing. It could be a lot more awakening or disturbing or troubling in other houses. But to me, this is stirring up something in you. Maybe you're reminded about how unfamiliar you're feeling, or do you feel like you belong? Like belonging is a really big subject. And the moon coming in here after being stirred up by going past Pluto is going to be feeling really intense about belonging at a time when the sun and Mercury retrograde has been considering how you're more of a global citizen, or more that you're connected to everyone, so it's a different kind of belonging. So to me, there is a tension there. But the other tension that's coming up at the time of the full moon is Mars in exact opposition to both Saturn and Neptune. Now, Mars is in the 11th house, really energizing all things to do with friendships and networks and influence, like spreading out. So to me, it feels like there are lots of actions that can move you out of your comfort zone. And then you've got Saturn and Neptune really bringing about a sense of creation in your fifth house. Saturn in your fifth house is asking you to get a lot more disciplined about how you are, how you're exploring your creativity. What are you giving birth to? Are you giving birth to something solid now? Saturn coming into the fifth house is really asking you to birth something really quite substantial, not something that's here, there, like here one day and gone the next. This is something with longevity, and Neptune can really bring heaven to earth. So to me, there's this refinement coming to the creativity that you're going through. And yet Mars is kind of pulling you out of your creativity and is saying, look over here, there's this over here, and there's this over here. And so there's some real tension between known and understood and in your control and fully responsible, versus unknown and mystical and out of your control. So as tensions go, they are not the hardest at all. But during this first few days, there's some very zippy energy. And you can see here that we've got, Mars and Uranus and Pluto in a almost exact trine. Really, really exact trine. We've got this envelope. You can see the top of the envelope To me, this is stretching the envelope. The stretching the envelope is really happening. This is the top of the envelope, or envelope, just in case my British accent. I don't know if everyone calls them envelopes. You know what, you put a letter in and you fold it up and stick a stamp on it. But anyway, envelope or envelope. That probably doesn't translate very well for people that are listening in other languages. But Uranus here, he is, I think, a really important planet because he's connected to everything. And he's new in the 7th house. And so he's bringing a lot of excitement, and possibly he's bringing a lot of very new people into your world. You know, suddenly your whole world could just open up with very eclectic, possibly astrological people. But very sort of free living, high-minded, high consciousness people. You know, Uranus in the 7th house could bring in a lot of irresponsible people and excited and spontaneous and unreliable people. But I think in terms of consciousness, you know, that this could really, whatever you're going through right now in terms of your creations and, you know, the challenge to get you out of your usual status quo and out beyond that. To me, there are some high status, high consciousness people that really want to come and play. So there are worse problems to have for sure. And then as we're also in this time, there's this beautiful Venus conjunct Jupiter. And to me, this is the most important connection for you in this 2-week period, because Jupiter's your ruling planet and Venus comes into this conjunction just a few days after the full moon. After that, she's wandering away. You'll see that she actually manages to get away from Jupiter. And, you know, they were both in a trine to the North Node in the 4th house. You know, this is the 8th house that's being awakened here by Jupiter and Venus. These are the two benefics, the two beneficial planets, both very much about grace and ease and a feeling of peace, a feeling of abundance, a feeling of trust. I really think, you know, a lot of the things that happen in the 8th house, the result could arrive in a deeper level of trust. When you go through the tests and the trials that the 8th house gives you, it brings up trust in yourself. And so Jupiter and Venus here they're just magic. They're showing you that you can trust in the mystery of life and that things are going to just work out. You are on the right path. It's almost like there is this sense that everything is working. And this, like trine to the North Node in the 4th house, to me, this is saying you are home. Now, I don't know how that's going to land with you. I mean, I'm a Sagittarius. I don't have Sagittarius rising, but, you know, when I said that, I thought, oh, I felt that. You know, to me, this is, you are home. You are, this Jupiter and Venus coming together is helping you go home to yourself, or helping you understand who you are, what you're meant to be doing here. To me, this is speaking deep to that part of you that is about your legacy. So it's a really important part of this fortnight ahead. Now, as we're getting closer to the time of the new moon, I really like this a lot, when the sun goes into an exact trine with Chiron. Now, the sun will do this twice a year, but it's still significant, and the sun's going to be around here on the 19th, and it's going to be in a trine with Chiron, and it's going to be reassuring you that any pain in your creations, anywhere where what you've been birthing hasn't gone very well, it maybe didn't work in the way that you're expecting, anywhere maybe you feel insecure of your God-given talents, anywhere you feel insecure in terms of new love, which is definitely a creation, and intimacy, all of those, to me, it feels like the sun up here in the 9th house is just giving you a different perspective and helping you feel that whatever has been ailing you is coming to an end. It feels like something has just worked out, almost magically so. Just like all of a sudden, there's this realization, okay, it had to be that way. I understand it now. And it's a peacefulness. To me, it shows you'll never be able to be pulled back into that mess again. You might get little nudges that this is going to happen, but there is this feeling of peace. We don't have to do that again. It's okay. We can move beyond that. And then, you know, the sun will go into the sign of Virgo. And when it gets up to this part of the chart, it's in the 10th house. It's shining its light on you as a career person, as somebody who has a lot to offer the world. And it's asking you what you're going to offer it. And so then we come to the time of the new moon. And this is the most stunning thing, I think. You know, we've got this new moon in the 10th house, Pluto down here in the 3rd, like that questing for where you belong, which community do you belong to, is really sort of pushing you to sort of define yourself a lot more. And then Saturn and Neptune about what are you delivering here on Earth? What is your passion leading you to? How can you refine your passion? How can you bring your heavenly talents into Earth and, you know, stabilize them? These two are really kind of pushing and pointing towards the new moon. And that new moon, to me, it doesn't feel like it's just a new moon. It's gone in, you know, its impact has disappeared in 2 weeks. Because of that yod, and because it's preceding another new moon in the same sign, which is an eclipse, I really feel that this is not a casual new moon. This is a new moon that is refining us and affecting us in the long term. To me, there is this big impulse, this big new knowing about what it is you're creating, the direction you're going in. And to me, it's a cosmic nudge. It's saying you're on the right path. That feels good, right? So I think it's good. And these new cosmic people coming into your world are probably going to scare you, challenge you, give you some food for thought. They're going to disrupt your usual thinking patterns, but they could actually help bring you up even faster than you've managed before. And then the following full moon, that will be at 29 degrees in the sign of Virgo, will be in opposition to Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Aries. It's gonna be quite triggering. So get your career plans, your legacy plans, your destiny deep dive, whatever it is that you're doing to get yourself on the outside. Even if it's not about earning money, you know, it might just be, this is what I'm passionate about. This is my hobby. This is my self-expression. This is who I am. To me, this is a real indication that there are some big changes taking place in you. And this is the restoration of faith, actually. So talking about that, let's go back to those questions. I'm going to go in reverse order. What small sacred act of cleansing and reordering could help me restore faith in myself? It's because I've mentioned those. In terms of the small sacred action, I actually think there's a couple, but the first one I think is to feel into that story that you're on the right path. You know, that Venus and Jupiter are together, really helping you know that even though there are ups and downs and expectations and agreements and all these different things that can tie us in and bind us to particular decisions, ultimately you're standing strong on your ancestral line. You know, this is a very ancestral place. It really does show us all the old karmic agreements. To me, with Jupiter and Venus together, it's really speaking of some kind of ceremony you might do yourself to honor your ancestors and honor yourself at the same time, and recognize how far you've brought the family line, how far you're going to continue doing that. It might be about cutting away from some of the expectations that have felt heavy on you, that have felt false, that are not in your best interest, that are not supporting your individual nature. It may be that you're making new terms with your ancestors, and from that, getting that sense of freedom. You know, the fact that they're both linking into the 4th house and the North Node, to me, is another indication of family and restructuring. And it might be that nothing has to change in your family, but it's how you're thinking about it that is changing. So to me, it's like a celebration for yourself. So for instance, you know, it might be that I'm honoring my parents, but also accepting that I'm not really part of their lives in the way that we might have been in normal, you know, Britain. If I'd stayed in the UK, you know, I live away from my family. It might be making new terms. It might be recognizing the inheritance you've got and thanking the past and moving on from it. So to me, I feel like there's this very sacred and symbolic change that's going on, and that distinction, how you distinguish yourself. It might be that you're silently saying, thank you for everything so far. I've got it from here. Can you imagine how powerful that would be? The other one that I also see, But I think it's also about what truth about myself has become impossible to ignore. I think it's about your stardom, your impact, the level of people that you're going to meet, the level of people that you could change the lives of and really help. You know, Virgo is a very helpful and very willing sign. It really wants to be, the service to self and service to others. Like Virgo is really service to others. They really are quite practical and really wanting to create practical change, observable change. As this North Node, this new moon with a yod pointing at it at the start of your 10th house, to me is an indication that you are meant to be in your role providing services to others. You know, this is the time when you realize just how important what you do is. And so it's time to take it seriously. Don't kind of brush it off and say, oh, it's just what I do. Like sit in that, like recognize that you do have a power. And maybe it's not a power or an energy that you got from your parents. Maybe it's nothing to do with that. Maybe this is the cut-off, the sacred cut-off from your past and into your future. But I think the thing that's hard to pretend is not there, it's become impossible to ignore, is that you do have a destiny. You do have this sense of faith. And what would you do to shift it? Just accept it, recognize it, own it, step into it. Finally, and again, this should have been the first one, and I don't know why I've done them back to front, but let's find out. Where has my mask been for survival? And what would I prefer to express? That's a deep question, because the masking, and this is what I think is coming out at the full moon, the masking is important. And this is the first time I'm actually lost for words in all of these readings. I actually think the masking is something that goes a little bit like this. You've got Saturn and Neptune in the 5th house. I think anywhere from the past where your creativity was not paid attention to or where you were ignored, I think that's probably set up quite a few difficulties for you. Saturn and Neptune in the 5th house is really saying to you, it's time to take yourself seriously. I think the mask that you've had is this mask of, I don't want to offend anyone. The mask is, I can only get so far. This is my lot. This is where I'm meant to be. And I think the mask has been also made into this sense of it's selfish to want lots, and I'm really happy with what I've got, and it's okay. And because I'm not out here, I'm really grounded, and that's good. And I think you've probably built up this mask around it. I think at the time of the full moon, you're going to be a little bit shocked, because Saturn really wants you to do something seriously with great levels of intention, and a great sense of sacredness and a sense of beauty and serenity, to really bring your version of heaven to earth and ground it. And maybe you haven't been ready to step into that, but that's been your mask. That maybe there's something wrong with you, like fame or success or money or any of these things, like everything working out. It's a myth. It's not going to happen. It's impossible. It's not meant for me. That's the kind of thing that happens to other people. That's a mask. That set of beliefs is not really you. And so this, and the fact that there are new important people, quite exciting people coming into your life, and then Mars up here, to me, it just is really bringing out this sense of surprise. I think your mask is dropping and the world is going to go, surprise! You've actually come to your party at 5, but it was never a masquerade ball. You were always meant to be at this party, but you're always in disguise, and now people can actually see you. They can see that actually you're going to give it a go, and it might fail. It might not work first time. It might not work second, third, fourth, fifth. It might not even work in your lifetime, but you're now going to give it a go because you believe that you believe it's important, and you believe it's possible, and you're not going to listen to that side of yourself that is putting you back in your box. That's not strictly, I think, from astrology. It's just like coming through as I'm looking at it. So anyway, that kind of wraps that up. Like I said at the start, this is followed by a Mercury retrograde to Mercury direct reading. It's literally 3 or 4 minutes, and it should help you bounce back and start moving again. But if this forecast spoke to you, then come join my membership. You know, you'll find Monday to Friday forecasts. There's also fortnightly love and money forecasts as well. Plus, there's a growing community of really nice people. You know, there's, we have like hangouts where we discuss things and we check each other's charts. And there's this really nice sense of communion that is growing there. But maybe not. Maybe you just like me to explore your chart, and I'm very happy to do that. Just head down to the links below in the description box and you can book a private session. But anyway, thanks for joining me today. Hope to see you again in another forecast real soon. Lots of love. Bye for now.